These large wood planks at Dollar Tree can be used for so many different DIYs. I'm going to be sharing this super easy and high-end stand idea with you. You're going to need a base. I grabbed these from my stash, use whatever you would like, and then the edges on these are pretty rough, so I'm going to sand them down just a little bit. You don't have to if you don't want to. For the color, I'm going to just use some antique Waverly wax with a baby wipe. I applied 2 thin coats. You can absolutely take this idea and remix it using whatever color you would like, or paint it if you don't want to stain it. The idea is totally remixable and customizable. To attach our base, I'm just going to use some of Type On Quick and Thick Wood Glue along with my hot glue. So this way we get a nice long hold and we get a quick hold. You can absolutely, like I said, use whatever way you want to create a kickstand. Dollar Tree also has like the little chalkboards with kickstand. I think I had some of them in my stash too, but I just figured I'd use this. Then take you some nautical rope. This is just some regular little rope I had, some rope twine I think is what it's called, in my stash, and just wrapped it around like 3 times and then tied a little bow on here. This stuff is definitely not stiff at all, so my bow was a little limp. You could use this idea for several different things. Photos would be a great way to be displayed on this piece, but I just decided to pop a couple floral pieces in here and absolutely love how elegant this looks. Glass hanging wall decor, we're going to be using 2 small jars we're going to be upcycling and this large wood plank from Dollar Tree. Now I decided that I wanted to put a stencil on here, so I just grabbed one of my ornate stencils that I had in my stash and I marked it to figure out kind of where the center of our large wood plank is. You can skip this part if you would like, but I just wanted to pop a stencil in here. Then I'm marking exactly where I want to place these jars. I want to paint the glass jars, so I'm going to mix these 2 together to get a really beautiful cream color. I set those off to the side to dry and grabbed my antique Waverly wax and a baby wipe to give our large wood plank a nice little tint of brown. You can apply as many colors as you would like or different colors. I wanted to just do a real light neutral, and I love how antique Waverly wax dries. I like to use this manipulative wire. You can easily bend this stuff, okay? It's a thick gauge wire. You can get it off Amazon. You could get it at Michael's. You know, they use it like for crafts. And I like to kind of bend it around our glass pieces in its little nooks and then cut it down to size with some wire cutters. This way we can attach it onto different things and we know that our glass piece is going to be secure. You could also use zip ties. They give a nice secure hold as well whenever you're working with glass. This is just what I went with and what I'm familiar with, and I know this works really well, so I rolled on with it. I took my time wrapping the twine around the gauge wire as well. This way it just ensures that, you know, it's not going to shift or go anywhere. Now that we're all done with that, it is time to bring on in the drill. We need to make sure that we have a drill bit on our drill that is larger than the wire so we can put holes in our board that we marked earlier. When I was all done drilling the holes, I grabbed the stencil that we marked earlier and some of my homemade texture paste and put a nice little design right on the center of this board. You could absolutely put whatever you would like on the center of this board or leave it completely blank. This is just what I decided to roll on with. When that was dry, I put our little glass jars into place, and instead of doing anything fancy schmancy to the wire, I literally just bent them like this and I left it. So if we want to change it out, it's super easy to do. Next time you're in Dollar Tree, head on over to their craft or square section and grab one of these little wood cubes and one of these acrylic boards. Now, I grabbed more than just one because I have fear of missing out issues, and you know, we crafters need more than just really one of anything. Anyhow, we're gonna need 2 of each to create this tabletop decor set. And people, I'd be lying if I told you it was all sunshine and rainbows, but it's not, okay? Peeling this plastic film off of the top of these things, ooh, it is, I'm sorry. It's not easy, okay? Find a corner and gently peel it off. For this next part, you could absolutely use some of Dollar Tree's tumbling tower blocks, but I had this trim laying around, this little pretty decorative trim that I picked up from Home Depot. They have this section where you can buy small, inexpensive pieces of trim, and I like to stop over there and grab this so I have it in my stash. And for this next part, we're going to need to bring on in the miter shears so we can cut 2 pieces down to size to go right on the top of our cubes. This way we have a brace to be able to put our little acrylic boards inside. Before I glued everything down, I did take a second to sand all the rough edges around. That miter shear didn't give these the cleanest cut, and it looked kind of shabby hanging over the sides of our cube. To attach everything, I'm going to use some of Type-On's Quick and Thick, and I'm going to just kind of smear some right on the top here and line up our 2 pieces right in the center, and then take our acrylic board and put it right down. I will tell you that it's slightly flimsy even after it dried, and I say that just because if you notice the pieces that it's squeezing together, it's real small. I'm not concerned about it falling apart though, because I know that it's going to hold up, but you might want to use something a little bit thicker. That's why I recommended the tumbling tower blocks, or use a different thicker piece of decorative trim. For the center, I'm going to be using some of my TDS Decoupage tissue paper. I'm going to cut down 2 sections of this gorgeous decorative paper so we can apply right in the center of our acrylic boards. You can remix this idea to match your home decor with so many different ways. You could use transfers, you can use wall decals, you can use napkins or photos. I really love these vintage pieces, and we're going to need to bring on in the iron so we can just straighten these pieces out. Now for this, I'm going to just turn our iron on low. We don't need it to be overheated. Grab a piece of parchment paper and place it down gently over each of our pieces and just give them a once over, so this way they're nice and flat. You can attach these pieces however you want. I wanted to be able to remove mine, so I'm going to take some of my glue tape and just go around the edges here on each one of the pieces. Then I'm going to flip them over and gently press them down. I will say, if you want to use 2 pieces of this acrylic board and kind of smash something in between, like if you wanted to do tried flowers, that would look really cool as well. I just wanted to use one for this. Take the idea and remix it, whatever works best for you. These Dollar Tree pieces turned out so stunning and elegant. The decoupage paper absolutely looks amazing right in the center. Need 2 of these Dollar Tree mini wood pallets so we can create a set of Tealight sconces. And grab 2 of these fancy schmancy frames from Dollar Tree while you're at it. I love having these in my stash. We're gonna take some of my Waverly chalk paint in the ink color and a pouncer and just tappity tap 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 all over these frames. I do not want full coverage. This is the color scheme I'm going for with this today. And I am taking that pouncer and that same paint and going over the palettes. Remix this idea with what works best for your home and your color palette. This is just something I had in mind that I've been wanting to try since I've painted these beautiful frames the Dollar Tree has, several different colors. On the back of the frames, I'm going to take some of my Dixie Belle gold gilding wax, just do a light dusting. This is the part that we're going to attach the palettes to. If you don't have this stuff, no worries, you can grab some gold metallic paint and get the same result. Just make sure your brush is fairly dry as you're going over, so you do have a little bit of that black shining through, or whatever your main color is. I'm using 2 of Dollar Tree's Tealights because they have this little lip at the top and they're perfect for this project. You can use whatever Tealight you would like. I recommend whatever it is having a little bit of a lip. You're going to put your piece together so it looks like this. Once you have it completely assembled, you'll see here that the little Tealight sits right there. To attach the palettes, I'm going to be using some Titebond wood glue and some hot glue. Just putting a little bit on the edges of the palettes and then pressing them gently on the back of the inside of these frames and allowing this to dry. You want to make sure it's dry before you start the next process because we're going to have to poke holes around the palettes. For our attachment, I'm just going to use some of this jewelry gauge wire that I keep in my stash. This stuff is really manipulatable and it's kind of tough. So I use a pair of needle nose pliers to help me finagle it around to keep it in place when I'm doing different things. As you can see here, it holds that Tealight perfectly, just settles right on top of that gauge wire. I used a little tool just to kind of pop holes through the back and then fed that wire through until the Tealight caught and held in place. And then I just bent them on each side, and there are several different ways you can do this. For the sake of time, I just grabbed some painter's tape, which you'll see me do in just a second, and put right over the ends. You could also grab some brown craft paper, put on the back and tape it or glue it down. This is going to help prevent any scratching on your wall. And then add whatever hanger you would like. You could also use the hanger that is already on the frames and put them on your wall. I did also have some of that black jewelry gauge wire and use that in one of these sconces so you could see what it looked like with the black wire. And I took some of my gilding wax and painted over the silver wire, making it gold so it matched the rest of the frames. If you're anything like me, you have these Dollar Tree wood palettes in your stash, and you also have bits of this particular palette or pieces where you've messed up and they're just kind of sitting around. You don't want to throw them away and you don't know what to use them for. So I want to show you a cool way that you can kind of repurpose them to create one piece of home decor. You're going to cut them all down so this way they look very cohesive, and then space them apart as if they're all one piece. Take some wood glue and some hot glue, a couple of popsicle sticks, and just attach everything, leaving those gaps so this way you can't tell where one ends and one starts. When I had all of them on there, I then took some single popsicle sticks that were not cut into bits, added more hot glue and wood glue over top the bits, and allowed that to dry. So this way everything was on there really well. I'm going to paint my piece using these 3 colors. Feel free to paint yours whatever color you would like, or to stain it whatever color you would like. Again, make this as big as you would like, or take several of these, glue them together like this and then attach them sideways for an even wider piece. There's so many different ways that you could put these extra bits together to repurpose them so you don't have to throw anything away. I decided to just grab some florals and take some twine and wrap them all around the bottom. You could use this for several different things. I just decided to use mine as a little floral holder piece. I took a napkin that I had in my stash, this little decorative napkin, super pretty, and I cut it down into pieces, just kind of wrapped it around, and I also glued this down. If you don't want to glue anything down onto your piece, you don't have to. You could use some floral wire and just attach it like that. This is just what worked best for me. This is super simple to do and it gives a really high-end feel. Such a great way to reuse those palette bits you have sitting around in your stash. Centerpiece, you're going to need 3 of these palettes and you can paint them whatever color you want. For this project, I'm going to leave them neutral so they match these little chalkboard houses I grabbed from Dollar Tree. To attach the pieces, I'm going to use my favorite wood glue, and people, this project, it only took me a few minutes. I used the hot glue in opposite sections of where I had the wood glue and then attached the first piece at the bottom. And then I did the same thing to the sides, and I made sure to flip the palettes so they were backwards and we could see the wood pieces on the sides pop out. To apply the other side of the house, I put the glue in all the little spots that I thought that it needed to go, and then attached the piece that I had already put together on top of that and held it in place for a couple of seconds. I really think that you could use this for so many things, but for sake of staging the video, I just popped some floral foam in here and did my best to arrange some pieces so you guys could see how awesome this piece is. Sells these beautiful signs. They are extremely high-end looking on their own, if you ask me. I've done different crafts with these before, but today we're not going to use this side at all. We're going to use the back, and I've already painted it white. I'm trimming down this beautiful springtime clock and as much of around it as I can. The design's intact, and just move on with using this design. This piece fits on here almost perfectly. We are going to have to make a couple adjustments. Just this way, it all looks fairly similar. I'm going to start from the top and then just work my way down little by little. we're gonna do the same thing with this piece that we did with the other ones and add a stencil to cover over these gaps. I'm gonna use this one, mind it. It's been used a couple times. It hasn't been cleaned, okay? Stop judging me, okay? If you don't have any dirty stencils in your stash, you're doing all right. Because I definitely got some dirty ones in mine. All right, little bit of our texture paste. Don't need a lot. Well, for this one, we might need a little bit more than I used before. So it might be too much. It might be too much. I'm going to try and pop this on here. And don't be afraid. You know what I'm saying? Like to kind of put this and just pray. Be afraid to just put it here and pray. All right, because that's what I'm going to do. Listen, at the end of the day, all right, at the end of the day, doesn't have to be perfect, right? We're just making something we love, and that's it. That's all that really matters. Trying to match up all the gaps here, at least as much as I can. And my blue, I don't think matches anything, but whatever. We're here now. I'm not wasting my texture paste. That's all I got. And for covering up these spots, I really wanted to share with you all that you could just leave all the spots you want and then just texture right over it, giving your decoupage art a whole new level of pretty. All right, let's see what has happened. Let's see what's transpired under here. Oh, it's pretty. It turned out really good. Okay, we're gonna have to fill that gap over there, but for right this minute, super happy with that. All right, we're gonna do the same thing over here. Oh, that turned out so good. I'm so happy with this. We're gonna continue to just plop some spots down though. A couple of spots here.